This is Dream Power Radio, the place where your dreams turn into reality. Here is your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, the Dream Coach. This is a show where we talk about dreams, both daytime and nighttime dreams, and how you can use them to make the internal shift to a life you love. I love talking about dreams. I especially like showing you all the ways you can remember and work with your dreams. Well, today we're going to take a deep dive into one of the most effective techniques that's helped dreamers all over the world for years, developed by the late, great Montague Ullman. Montague Ullman was one of the most foremost experts and educators about dreams in the 20th century. A trained psychotherapist, he spent the last 3 decades of his life studying and promoting interest in dream work. He also developed one of the most noteworthy methods for sharing dreams in group settings. And I'm so lucky to be able to speak about the Ullman Method with one of the world's most foremost experts on it, Bill Stimson. And when I say world, I mean it literally, as Bill joins us today from Taiwan, where he teaches university-level courses on dream work and leads numerous dream groups specializing in the Ullman Method. Welcome to Dream Power Radio, Bill.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Like I said, I'm excited to be talking about the Ullman Method and dreams and all of that. But I want to start first with Mr. Ullman himself. So I understand that he wasn't really fond of the term dream interpretation and liked to call it more of dream appreciation. What do you think he meant by that?
Ullman's idea is that when you interpret a dream, let's say you have a dream, okay, and you have a dream about a horse or something, and you interpret it, and Freud, according to Freudian theory, a horse means this and this and this in this kind of dream. What you're doing is you're taking a dream, and in order to understand the dream, you're putting a theory on it like that. And Montague Ullman felt that is not the way to treat a dream. And his idea is you take a dream, and what you do is you work with the dream. I'll give you an example. We had an Italian artist in my New York City dream group called Ariana Caroli. And one day she came in late, we'd been given this difficult dream. She came in late, and she put this thing on the table. I didn't know what it was. She put it in water, and there was this big green thing there. But we didn't have time to notice it because we were working with this complicated dream. And we worked for 3 hours. And when we finished with the Ullman Method, we were surprised. We looked there in the middle of the table was this most beautiful giant tropical flower that had opened up. It had opened up in the water. That's what happens with a dream. In the method Ullman uses, he coaxes the dream to open up on its own like the flower. And what he meant by dream appreciation, he compared it with art appreciation. You see a painting by a master, you don't interpret that painting, you appreciate it. You see a person you love, you don't interpret that person, you appreciate them. Interpretation means imposing something on it. Interpreting it means allowing to come out from it what's in it. That's the difference. And that's what his technique is all about. His book is called Dream Appreciation, I think. That's his main masterpiece.
And how did he actually create the method?
Okay, this is a very interesting story. What happened is he was a psychiatrist, but he became more interested in dreams than in psychiatry. And so he was not practicing anymore. I think he was in charge of a dream research laboratory at Maimonides Hospital. And a friend of his in Sweden contacted him and said, Monty, I said, I know you're interested in dreams. We have a program for young psychiatric interns here in Gothenburg, Sweden, and we want someone to come to teach them how to make sense of dreams. And Monte that was his thing. So he dropped everything in his life, and he and his wife, Janet, and the two of them went over to Gothenburg, Sweden, and Montague Ullman fell in love with that place and those people. And he's working with this class of interns, young young doctors who were trained psychiatrists, really, with dreams. But he got this idea. Why should we impose the ideas we've been taught on our dreams? As if our ideas are more important than the dreams. So his idea was, let's look at dreams in this class by you looking at your own dreams. And he asked one of the students to volunteer a dream. And then they'd work with it. And he said, we're going to start it now. If anyone's uncomfortable at any time, they can stop it. So in other words, the dreamer is in control. This is different from any other method that I know. Usually it's some expert telling, and so he took these students' dreams and he developed this process where the student himself arrived at the meaning of the dream.
Okay, well, now let's get actually into the Ullman Method. So I understand it's got like 4 stages to it. So can you go through?
The Ullman Method is really the creative process. And somewhere I have a graph of it, and there are 4 stages. But the Ullman Method, I think, has more stages, how you look at it. But you walk into the Ullman group. Let's say we have an Ullman group or somebody, your writing group there, Ullman group. And the first thing is we ask for a dream. Now, the dreamer volunteers to dream. Now, the dreamer is in control of the process even before we know who the dreamer is. We never put a person on the spot. A person could be in the dream group and never share a dream, and nobody points a finger at them. But that person always has priority, the one who hasn't shared. So the dreamer is in control even before the dreamer shares. That's pivotal. The dreamer is in control, not the leader. And also another thing is the leader is not a psychotherapist. This is not psychotherapy. The Ullman process is not psychotherapy. A lot of psychotherapy in Sweden, Finland, those countries over there, it's psychotherapists who grab the process and they use it in their psychotherapy. And when they do the dream group, it's sort of more like psychotherapy. Ullman's dream group wasn't psychotherapy. And he definitely said, this is not therapy, it's healing. There's a difference. There's a difference. Healing comes from inside. You water the plant and the plant grows. You care for the kitten and the kitten becomes alive. It's not you do it from the outside.
He did believe that dreams are a healing process.
He said dreams, yeah, exactly. That was his core belief. Dreams are healing, the natural healing process.
Bill, we were talking about the different stages of the Ullman Method, and we talked about the importance of the dreamer being the person in control. So tell me, what happens when the dreamer says, yes, I have a dream?
Okay, good. The dreamer has a dream, okay? We take that dream, and we write that dream down. Or the dreamer gives us, some printout. We do that sometimes with long dreams. And we write the dream down word for word because we want to work with that specific dream. Now, the dreamer tells us the dream, okay? Now, as I tell the stages, I'll tell the benefit of each stage, if you don't mind.
Sure, go ahead.
Because I used to think that this was very useful for arriving at an understanding of the dream, or to help the dreamer arrive at an understanding. But it's useful for the dreamer herself to figure out the dream, to go through the stages. And when she tells the dream, it brings the dreamer closer to her dream. And then the next thing, right after that, is people ask her questions. Now, that also brings her closer to the dream. Now, there are 2 types of questions, basically, that predominate. One is, could you please tell us what in the dream or who in the dream is a real person, a real thing, or a real place, anything that's real? Now, this is important for the dreamer because as a dreamer tells, well, that's my uncle and I visit, blah, blah, blah. It brings the dreamer closer to that person. In her mind, you see, as she's talking about it, in her mind, she comes closer to that person, that place, that thing. She doesn't have to arrive at any conclusion. We're not after conclusions. All through the process, we're not after closure. We don't do it. We don't do closure. Closure happens at the end. The dreamer does it. And so we ask questions like that. What's real? And another thing is, what were your feelings in the dream? Now, people, especially at the university where I teach this, but actually everywhere, our whole culture is obsessed with ideas, Feelings are not something. Feelings are the body, you know what I mean? We don't want that, you know what I mean? Don't tell us how you feel. I was educated as a scientist. They told you, this isn't about feeling, this is about ideas. So dreams are about feelings. So we asked the dreamer to tell us what she felt in the dream. That's very important because it brings her closer to the feeling she felt in the dream. And of course, dreams don't make feelings. Every feeling in a dream, the dream steals from life. It gets from here, it gets from there. And so when we can work with the feelings, it unwraps the dream unwraps itself, and we can see the connection between life and the dream. After we've asked those questions, and then we ask the dreamer. Now, when the dreamer talks, we write it down, what she says. We always have a pad of paper with us, a pen. We write down what she says. Now we put our pads down. We don't write anything. We don't write down what each other says, not the dream group leader, anybody. I mean, beginners do. Nobody knows, only the dreamer. So we only write what the dreamer says. So now, after we've done, these are projections. In my dream, not in your dream. I think in your dream, the uncle means, no. In my dream. Because the truth is, only a dreamer can know what a dream means. Nobody else. Now, when I started this a long, long time ago, for some reason, because I used to be a botanist in the rainforest, and I was really good at wild things. So I was like an intuitive with a dream. I would jump in and start swimming. And I would tell the dreamer what the dreamer meant. The dreamer would say, oh, you've changed my life. Yes, that's what. And I thought, this is something. But later on with studying under Monty, I realized, no, that's not so. I don't do that anymore. I don't know anything. Only the dreamer knows. So the Ullman Dream Group Method is really about us asking questions to the dreamer. So, but now after we finish these projections, my dream, that's only the beginning stage. In America, a lot of people take that to be the whole process. Oh, see, if it's my dream, that's the dream group. Then some authority tells the dream what the dreamer means. After we do these things, then the dreamer comes forth, and this is called the response. The dreamer often will say, it's amazing what you people saw in the dream. Now, the dreamer, I change Monty's process in one little way. I'll always ask a dreamer in the beginning, do you know the meaning of this dream? And if she says yes, I say, well, don't tell us. Test us and see if the process gets it. But if she says no, I like to know that. Because in the end, when she knows the meaning, it's just nice to know that she didn't know in the beginning. You realize we've done something. So now she tells us, as a result of what all these people projections were, she tells us what her dream means and why she had it that night. Now, what we say to her is, say anything you want. Just tell us when you're finished, because at this stage, we cannot interrupt the dreamer. We want her association of mind. We want that to progress on its own. We want like a blueprint of where her thinking is going. And when she tells us she's finished, we don't ask her any questions. That's her thing. And then we ask her the pivotal question in the Ullman process, would you like to go to the next stage? Because the dreamer's in control. But no, you guys have violated me. I don't want it. See, we give a chance for a person to say that. People don't usually say that. Of course they say, And so after the dreamer gives a response, the next stage, to go deeper into the dream, we set the dream aside. We forget there's a dream in the room. It's not about the dream anymore. There's no dream. Now, in creativity, they call this the incubation phase. In order for creativity to happen, you have to set the problem aside, do something else, and boom, oh, I got the idea, You have, because the old rut you were following isn't going anywhere. You got to stop that for a new channel to develop. So we set the dream aside, and we start asking her about our good leading question, right? Not a leading question, right up, by the way, rules. 1, no leading questions. 2, no information demanding questions. And you say, well, what kind of question is it if you don't get information? It's called an information eliciting question. Essentially, don't take control away from the dreamer. If the way I ask questions, aren't you guilty? You know what I mean? That's a no-no. That I'm putting an idea on the dreamer in the form of a question. So we start asking about the day before, the night before in specific. And here we can ask information questions. We ask her, would you care, or we all ask this way, would you care to say anything about what was going through your mind as you fell asleep the night before? Now, this is why it's good to have a recent dream with Ullman Method, because if it was 10 years ago, people would say, yeah, I don't know. But very often the significant dreams come after something significant happened in life. So the person will remember. And they'll tell us what was going through her head the night before the dream. Now, what happens, these are our thoughts, our intellectual thoughts, tick, 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 we go around in a circle. Then we doze off to sleep. What happens is in the mind, that part of the mind that thinks like that goes to sleep. But the other part of the mind that looks in images, which is freer and more alive, it's a ballet dancer or a modern dancer, it's alive. That part continues to work with images. That part can solve the problem that the other part couldn't solve. That part can see the missing link the other part couldn't find. You see what I mean? And that's the dream. Now, the trouble is, that part speaks a different language. It speaks metaphor. It doesn't speak English or Chinese or whatever. And so we come up with a dream and we don't know what it means. What do you mean? Why is this here? And so we start with ignorance. We ask what she thought the night before. She tells us. We said anything, this and that. They're called general fishing questions, Ullman calls them. Okay, and after that, that's the context phase. After she tells us, then we say, would you like to go to the next phase? And if she says yes, then it's a muscle. The muscle of the dream group process is this stage.
We are talking about the Ullman Method of dreamwork with Bill Stimson, and we'll be right back after this break. Join me, my fellow Raven International podcasters, and broadcasters from around the world in a joyous salute to the heroes of the pandemic. On July 24th, the Raven International Network is devoting the entire day to a star-studded list of speakers who will inspire, empower, and connect with you. Watch on the Raven International Network channel on Roku or Amazon Fire, or listen on podcasts everywhere. See you on the 24th.
Welcome back to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman.
Yes, welcome back to Dream Power Radio. I'm your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman, and we're talking all about dreams with Bill Stimson.
In this stage, someone reads the dream back to the dreamer. So instead of the dreamer telling us her dream, we're showing the dreamer her dream. It's like we're all sitting watching a movie. So what we do is we show the dreamer's dream, we show on like a screen, like that. But only the dreamer sitting there knows what it means. So someone reads an image, a sequence of images, that, little conglomeration. We don't go too far. It's like feeding a baby. You don't want to give it 10 spoons so the baby's too full of food. Give it one spoonful at a time. When the baby swallows it, give him another one. So we give a little piece. And the dreamer, we're quiet. And the dreamer tells, this is where her intuitive self comes in, her genius. The dreamer tells us something. The first thing she tells us, and we're quiet until she finishes. Then we ask her questions. Anybody can ask her questions. But you have a sense when she's got it. And when she's got it, we move on instead of lingering. We don't want to bore a dreamer. The dreamer has to find the process exciting. This is an exciting process when it's real. And we go through the whole dream like that, image by image by image. This is called the playback stage. We're playing the dream back to the dreamer, and the dreamer tells us what each piece means, discovering for herself the first time. She didn't know before. She discovers these things. And things that she didn't know, she may say in an earlier stage, well, I don't know what the baby meant at all. But in this stage, she'll discover what it meant. Oh, the baby means... And then when we get to the end of this, the dreamer knows. Then I'll ask her another question. After we've asked her the little pieces, I'll ask her, well, if you look at the whole dream, what does this dream tell you that you didn't know? Because every dream has new information. Every single dream, contrary to what some people will tell you or what they think, is worth working with. And everything in the dream has information. It's like a painting, like a masterpiece, like a kung fu form. Every move has significance. Every piece of the dream means something. That doesn't mean that we can figure out what it means. We might not, but it has meaning, like an Ibsen play or something. So when it's all over, the dreamer tells us. And it's beautiful to hear her say it. And it's so rare that we get a chance to speak our heart. And that is liberating just in itself. But then we ask the dreamer, would you like to go to the next stage and hear what other people have to say? This is called the orchestration. And if she says yes, then we move forward. Orchestration is like an orchestra leader leading an orchestra. And what we do is we put together all the different instruments we've heard, and each person tells the dreamer, as if we're some expert. We're not. The dreamer knows. We tell the dreamer, don't have to be offended or insulted by what people say. They don't know. You know. And each person tells the dreamer what they think the dreamer means. Now, where this over here in Taiwan, I have to tell the students, don't give her any advice. This is none of us are trained coaches. None of us are counselors. None of us are psychotherapists or that sort of thing. This is not about that kind of telling the dreamer what to do. Dreams don't tell dreamers what to do. Dreams tell dreamers what the reality is. The dreamer makes a decision what to do. The reality is this. That's what dreams do. That's the function of dreams. Over here in Asia, in authoritarian culture, people go, the dream's telling me this or telling me that. The dream shows the reality. You decide what to do. So one by one, people tell the dreamer. And the interesting thing, this stage is fascinating. It's like the story of the 11 blind men who feel the elephant, and one of them feels a tail. Oh, it's like a snake. And the other feels a trunk. Oh, it's like something else. And the other feels a leg. Oh, it's like a column. And the other feels a stomach. Like a ceiling. Each one has a different, because they're blind. They can only feel one part of the elephant. That's the way we are. We're all blind. But we can only see what we can project to our own lives. We can only see our piece. And so all the pieces come together. And the dreamer is made whole in a sense. It's important for a person, especially those of us in life who are not heard, it's important for us to know that we've been heard when we say something. It's really us. I know I had that feeling the first time I did a dream at Montague Ullman's in his living room in Ardsley. I really had the feeling that I was seen. And I didn't think anybody could see me, It's like I was an invisible person. It's a horrible way to live. A lot of us live this way. And it's a wonderful feeling for the dreamer to know she's been heard. And it's not so much that the dreamer learns anything from these final things. It's that she feels confirmed. And that's the Ullman process. There's one more stage. We don't do that too often in the class or in the groups even. It's in the next week when the dreamer comes in, the dreamer can tell us if she's had any new insights. I'll ask the dreamer that, and sometimes that comes out. That's an important stage. We don't do that too much. It's part of the process. And that's the Ullman process. That's it. That's the whole thing. Did I miss anything? Do you have any questions?
I think it's wonderful because it's such a wonderful way to honor the dream and to honor the dreamer by doing this method in this way. But this time has flown by. It's been wonderful speaking with you. I have one question because I didn't want to leave without talking about your new book, Glimpses from Beyond the Ego, Dreams, Zen, and Nature, which you say focuses on why to do the Ullman Method. So if you could just tell, how can people get the book?
This book will probably be available maybe the end of the month on Amazon. What I did here is this is a different kind of dream book. The first dream book I wrote is about the Ullman Method, but this book is different. This book is about dreams. So I don't talk about the Ullman Method. Even if I have an appendix where I say something about how I feel I approach it, but I don't talk about the stages and the processes. What I find with a lot of people, especially in America, but also in Europe too, who work with dreams, a lot of what's going on now revolves around the ego's penetration of the dream, like becoming lucid in dreams and then beginning to control the dream, or even programming dreams. I had some of the Greek from some of the Greek religions, Asclepios, and those people in dream induction. They'll induce a dream. All this was going on in its infancy. It was just starting to happen when I was with Ullman, and I often talk with him about it. And he said, I said, what do you think of these processes? He said, gimmicky. They're gimmicky. Also, he said at some point that it's the ego is too involved in it. See, the whole thing of dreams, the whole beauty of dreams, it's like having a wife and controlling your wife. Oh, I've got her under control. What are you learning from your wife? You know what I mean? I watched the Pygmalion, Bernard Shaw's My Fair Lady last night. It's just an amazing story of masculine blindness, you know. And there's so much to learn from a woman. There's so much to learn from a dream. You know, what's most important that we can get from our dreams doesn't come from the ego. That's the whole point of this work. That's why we do it. We know what the ego is, you know. The ego, to excuse the profanity, the ego is sort of full of shit, you know. And you look at the world, it's falling to pieces. The atmosphere, the oceans, the soils. I mean, it's really sad. There's a part of us that's not the ego. And there have been traditions that develop this, mystical traditions from ancient times, from the Greeks, from the Asians, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Indians, and they work. And dreaming is something that I guess the Westerners came up with, and Montague Ullman perfected it. And I see it very much like the ancient Chinese of Chuang-Tzu and Lao Tzu. This to me is a process to inform ourselves of the larger part of ourselves, which is beyond the ego. And so what I've done, since I don't do scientific experiments, I'm a dream group leader. I'm not a psychotherapist. I don't work with those ideas at all. What I've done is I've used what I do know. When I started out as a botanist in the rainforest. I wanted to be a naturalist. And I had certain mystical experiences in the rainforest from beyond the ego that transformed me and changed me and redirected my whole life. And then I decided I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a novelist and write about insight. And the trouble is, because I was trained as a scientist, when I turned to writing, I had no feelings. I couldn't write. And so what I did is I started doing yoga. I was in New York, yoga, Zen meditation. I did Zen meditation for many, many years. The whole time I apprenticed under Ullman. I apprenticed under Zen masters in New York City, especially a Chinese Chan Zen group in Elmhurst, Queens. And so in the book, I have some of these experiences in nature from beyond the ego. And what I point out is these are not under my control. These are not. If we look at these kinds of experiences and we look at the way some people are now working with dreams, that's not right to stick the ego in there, you know. And then I do the same thing with the Zen meditation experiences. I go through many more of them. And everything that happened to me came from somewhere beyond, came from the other side. I call it from the other side. It's not from this side, it's from the other side. And the other side of me is so much smarter than this side. That's why I work with dreams. And when I had the dream, like your dream, your breakthrough dream, it was like that. All of a sudden, I realized this dream knew something about me that I never knew. And it changed my life. The dream was right, I was wrong. And so that's why, and then at the third part of the book, I actually go into the dreams of these college students, and I show the kinds of things they learn from their dreams. And teaches about dreams, teaches about the process, teaches about who we are. And it's not about controlling or programming our dreams or even becoming conscious in them. It's about being able to benefit from what there is in a dream that we can't be conscious of.
Yeah, well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on Dream Power Radio today. We have been speaking with dream educator Bill Stimson. I hope you've enjoyed today's program. Until next time, this is Debbie Spector-Weissman saying, sweet dreams, everybody.
You've been listening to Dream Power Radio with your host, Debbie Spector-Weissman. For more information on Debbie or to sign up for her newsletter, go to dreampowerradio.com. This has been Dream Power Radio on the amazing Women and Men of Power Network, the world's leading positive programming network, powered by Raven International.